Good morning, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas. You have tuned into the free-range human show of choice. Your daily dose of reality radio starts now. I am your host, Clay Edwards. This, of course, is the Clay Edwards Show, and just like every other Tuesday that we are lucky enough for her to be here, we have got Miss Therese Apel in the studio.
Hi, everybody.
How was your trip?
Well, I went to go take care of my dad. He had a medical thing, so it wasn't like a fun sightseeing trip, but it was good to get to hang out with him for a little bit.
Always. I hope your dad's all right. And
he's much better than he was when I went up there. So
well, good. A daughter's touch.
Probably the doctors though.
I actually got to go see my parents. I guess that would have been Sunday. I went over there and I smoked some chicken. Saturday, my daughter was having a little pool party get together. My parents had the pool, so she asked me what I cook out for them. I'm like, well, I'm not going to come spend the whole Sunday and have to use somebody else's grills, and because the grills were mine, and I took them with me.
Yeah.
You know, but neither here nor there. I got to see my parents for a couple hours Sunday, so that was fun.
Good.
So my dad's got all that pent-up frustration from watching Fox News all day, and he's got to talk to somebody about it.
So my dad does too, and so needless to say, like I get to hear the talking points, and I'm usually like, Dad, I don't watch the national news.
Well, I watch some of it, but anything that by the time I get a chance to talk to him about it, the news cycle moves so fast.
It does, yeah.
So it's almost like a week old. And he's very up to date on all this stuff too, but sometimes you like to work through it with somebody just to make sure you're not crazy. It's like, did you see this? What do you think about this?
Yeah.
And the Bill Maher talking points that came out last week, where he came out, not anti-trans or anything like that, but where he just came out and said, is this a fad, somewhere like Los Angeles? Because they keep saying that this is happening organic, this rise in transgender and what is the current generation called? Not Gen X, not Gen Z.
It in Gen Z.
Is it Gen Z?
I think so.
The Zoomer generation.
Okay.
You know that 20% of Zoomers are gay? Versus
Really?
like with Gen X, it was 10%. So like at this point, by 2054, we're all going to be gay.
Well, the question is, with Gen X, it was 10%. How many were there in the closet still at that point? Because it wasn't as accepted then as it is now.
Well, and how many were just high on dope and
doing
lots
stuff, of folks
doing
were that.
things, doing things. But he just brought up a point, and not even to get into the percentages of how many are openly gay. But he said, it's like if you're at a dinner party in L.A., there's a very good chance there that every other person has a trans child. But in Youngstown, Ohio, nobody does.
Right.
He's like, so they're either promoting it in L.A. or demoting it in Ohio, or we could say Brandon, Mississippi, or Rankin County, Madison, anywhere like that here. I just thought Youngstown was a nice comparable middle of America kind of thing. So is it trendy there and untrendy here, or is it this natural organic thing? It
does make you wonder. Obviously, there are places where it's going to be more accepted and that kind of thing. But yeah, it seems like, and I'm not going to debate whether you're born this way or not. But the thing is, when you look at yourself in your teens, you were looking for something to identify with. You were looking for something that differentiated you, that made you, relevant. There was always something. And, for me, it was my sports until I got to college. And then it was, working with student media. And it was, like through my life, I've been a martial artist. I've been, all these different things. And when you're young, that matters. So I kind of think that it's a possibility that in some of these places, it's kids looking for something to identify with that differentiates them a little bit.
Well, he brought up a point. He said, never underestimate what a kid will do for a batch of likes on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes back to the acceptance. Mm-hmm. So I said I was trans. I've got 100,000 likes or whatever the case may be. And I guess when you start off, and I'll call that an extreme starting point, for my beliefs, so if you start out as or gay, you come out as gay or trans or whatever the case may be, well, that's probably going to be the peak of the social acceptance and the likes on social media for you. So how far do you have to take that? Then you end up down some of these diabolical, we'll call them TikTok rabbit holes. And, it's people talking about transitioning their kids. I ran across one the other day. A guy was talking about doing a fundraiser to be able to afford the transition surgery for his teenager. I'm like, bro, stop. Just let it breathe. I don't even think at 18 you should be able to make that decision. That should be one of those, you got to wait till you're 25. You know, like trust funds, a lot of time you got to wait till you're 25 to get it because they know you're too stupid with money until then. Can we use that same logic here?
That's logic that we could probably use on a lot of things. Like you shouldn't date till you're 25 and stuff like that.
Man, I didn't get married till I was 42.
Right.
41, 42, whatever. I get 42. I'll be married 3 years this December, and I'll be 45 in August. So whatever that comes up to, 42.
Right.
And, you know, because I wasn't ready. You know, I would have made bad decisions.
Yep.
You know, and I think there's a lot of things. I look back to 25. I opened my first nightclub at 25. And I've made a lot of terrible decisions after that.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not saying that everybody has to make those same hard-headed mistakes that I did, but cutting your wee-wee off at 18 or before, for Christ's sake, excuse me, Lord, seems like a terrible idea.
Well, I mean,
your undeveloped mind,
yeah,
and life and lived experiences,
and especially because okay, so let me put my disclaimer on here since we're getting political, but. You know, what you do with your body is your choice. But I do feel like there's enough scientific evidence that says that, you know, especially in a male, your brain doesn't fully mature until, you know, some studies say it's, you know, in your late 20s, some say it's in your 30s, some say it's 25. It's almost like it would be a more judicious choice to wait and probably the smarter choice to wait and be sure this is what you want. But again, you know, just because it's political, I just figure it's worth saying that that's not my body, that's yours.
Well,
you know?
and look, you know the rules here. You're welcome
Sure.
you're welcome to just not reply to any of this. So, you know, because I tell Therese all the time, I'm not going to drag you down this rabbit hole, and we jump straight into it.
Yeah.
So I don't expect her to reply to half this stuff. But for instance, bullying gets brought up every time there's a school shooting.
Yeah.
So let me tie that into kind of a deep thought here, and it may not even be on the same page. I'm probably just rambling. I had a friend when we were in our early 20s. He was gay. Mm-hmm. And we picked at him a lot. I mean, he was just one of the boys, but he was gay. And I had gone a couple years without seeing him and messing with him. And I saw him one time. I was like, just picking at him about being gay. You know, like boys do. You know, we're allowed to do that. He's like, I'm not gay no more. I'm like, no, bro. You know, once you do the deed, you're always gay. Now, as I've gotten older, I asked this question to a female here. Do you, if a guy decides to not be gay no more, I know this is a weird conversation, but my mind goes these places. Should we accept him back into the straight community as not being gay no more, or is he just always going to be gay in your mind? I mean, is that a form of bullying to say, no, bro, you were gay, you're always going to be gay to me?
Well, I mean, if you're going to assign a label, you need to apply it across the board. So if you were an addict once, are you always an addict? And some say yes. You know, if you were...
now, a lot of addicts say yes.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying.
I actually heard that on a podcast this morning. You know, it's like once you're an addict, it doesn't matter how long you go.
You are always, yeah.
That's part of the 12-step program, right? Is admitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking like there's so much room to move in here, because if you're an addict, are you always there? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say so. If you were overweight, are you always? You know, if you were a drunk, are you always? And that said, again, you know, you can argue the nuances of, you know, are you born this way? Is it a disease? You know, talking about addiction, is it a disease? But, you know, you go through the different things that we assign to those things. There's a lot to work with there.
But it does make an argument against the being born gay thing. And I do think some people are. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I just think that, you know, we all have that friend also on the flip side of the coin. Like, everybody assumes they're gay, but them. You know, like they're usually the last to want to admit it. Not the last to know, but the last to want to admit it. So whenever they come out, like my sister had a friend like that growing up. And when he finally came out in his late 20s, I'm like, yeah, everybody already knew, bro. You know, happy for you.
Right.
You know? And so I don't know. I just a random thought there. But as I've gotten older, now, you know, I guess he hasn't been gay for 15 years now. But it just in my mind, you always think back to how you first met somebody. Whether it's them being gay, them being loose, or whatever the case may be in your mind, that's how you always. I know how people think about me. That met me through my mid-30s. You know, party. You know, bad decision maker, drunk. drugs, the whole night. I know there's a lot of people that can't accept that that's not me no more.
Yeah.
Especially if they catch me out at the Brandon Amphitheater on the wrong night. One too many draft beers will get you quick.
I was just thinking how much more fun or easy, how simple my life was when everybody just thought like, well, she parties a lot. She has a lot of friends. She drinks a lot. And that's what they expected from me, instead of like, now I have all these potentials to live up to, all these things that I'm trying to build. And everybody's like, you're going to do great. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do great. I just want to sit on a bar stool and waste my life again.
Bartender, I really did it this time. Broke my parole to have a good time. Well, it's weird because once you get into the public eye, so to say, there begins to be these expectations.
Absolutely.
And especially, I can only speak for myself, but from my conservative talk radio, that's why I don't like really calling this conservative talk, or like it's reality radio. It's because I don't want the expectations of conservative talk, hellfire and brimstone, live by the Bible every day in my actions, because I'm a sinner and I'm going to make mistakes. I went to McLean's yesterday, the big car show they had out there on Memorial Day. What a great event. It was packed. I mean, it was like Scarecrow car show packed.
Yeah.
A huge turnout. I was blown away. Anyway, but I'm walking around and I have people walk up to me like, hey, man, thank you for what you do. Don't let them intimidate you. I'm like, well, I'm not stopping now.
Yeah.
But these are people that look like just very well put together adults. And I never look at myself as a well put together adult. Right. In my mind, I'm still that screw up.
Yeah.
And that's never going to be a full adult.
Yeah.
And I don't know if does everybody else fight this struggle of, are you still the worst version of you?
Yeah.
And you fight that every day, or do you see what other people see? Because they say there's 3 versions of you, right? Mm-hmm. What you see in the mirror, what you really are, and what other people see you as.
Right. Well, and even last week I had a conversation with my therapist. We were talking about somebody who, by all standards, is very, very impressive, has lived a really full, awesome life. And, you would look at them and say, that person has everything and can do anything. And my therapist brought that person up to me because he said, that's actually a friend of mine. And I can tell you that person thinks that they are as much of a screw up as you think you are. And when I mention you to them, they say, oh my gosh, she's famous. And so to me, it was like all of a sudden I was kind of in that same place. Like, that particular person thinks I'm famous, thinks I'm cool, and so I think it really is a thing where we have to stop and kind of on occasion just say, maybe I ought to give myself a little more grace.
Well, it's like the people we look at, and I use Instagram as the example, the super duper happy social media family. They went and got their family portrait made in a cotton field. You're like, man, she's got on the big leather boots and the yoga pants, the typical Southern girl look, and they all dress the same in the pictures, and everybody looks the same. You just change out their faces. Happy Southern family, and you know that he probably beats her butt, and she's probably cheating on him. And there's probably all kind of behind-the-scenes drama. And they got drug out to this field to do this happy family portrait. So everybody on Instagram would think they were happy. Right.
Well, and I'm sitting here laughing because when you're single in that world where everybody has the pictures of the beautiful family and you're like, here's me and my dog. Here's me and my other dog. Well, today I got up this morning and I've got a workout to go do at lunch. But I put on my shirt that says McKay's Drug and Gun Store.
I love it.
And I've just been laughing at myself all morning because it's like, all my friends that I graduated high school and college with are like looking all wonderful and precious today. And I'm in my Drug and Gun Store shirt.
Right. Look, and drug dealers in Jackson should consider putting that on their shirt. Capitol Street, Drug and Guns.
Yes.
All right, look, we're going to take a break real quick. I forgot to mention because we just jumped straight into conversation. We'd love to hear from you guys. The Mack Hike Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Flowood phone line is 601-879-0002, and the Guns and Gear text line, they are back open today. They were closed yesterday to celebrate Memorial Day, or to honor Memorial Day, should I say. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. You're listening to The Clay Edwards Show, joined by Therese Apel with darkhorsepressnow.com, and we'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB.
America. You love your country, so it goes without saying that you also love your ride. And Auto Armor in Flowood wants to help you make that ride shine. Auto Armor in Flowood is Central Mississippi's premier automotive detail and ceramic coating shop, servicing any type of vehicle, including ATVs, boats, and more. Need just a quick detail or paint correction? Auto Armor can make it happen. But if you're set to hit the road in a blaze of glory while flying the old red, white, and blue, Auto Armor should be your first and last call to give your ride a full ceramic coating. Auto Armor is locally owned and operated by the loud and proud American patriot Clay Edwards. Auto Armor also proudly backs the blue, all military, and first responders. So don't forget to ask for your discount. Call 601-260-0858. 601-260-0858. Or stop in today, fellow Americans. Auto Armor is located at 4394 Mangum Drive in Flowood. Online at AutoArmorMS.com. Auto Armor, unapologetically American.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Don't know how long we were off the air there, but we were talking about steaks.
Right. Well, the thing is, just the same way that we've been all over the map on topics, we start talking about steaks and like, what's the perfect steak and how do you cook it? And
I was telling Therese that when I was really hardcore on the carnivore diet there for the first quarter of the year, that when I was going to buy a whole ribeye and a whole filet at a time, it just wasn't feasible to cook one steak on the grill, and especially when you just use a charcoal grill. I don't have a quick gas grill, which I'm not one of these gas grill haters.
right.
I like a good gas flame kiss steak every now and then. It's okay. There's no perfect way to cook a steak. There's just what are you in the mood for that day.
Right.
So I decided to take a shot in the dark, and I pulled up YouTube. I said air fry ribeye, and it looked really good. I was like, all right, I'll sacrifice one.
Yeah.
And it's my new secret.
That was daring.
It is. I recommend it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it here on the radio. Just go the same thing I did. Go to YouTube and type in air fry steak, and you'll be blown away. I'm not going to tell you it's the best ribeye I've ever had, but I will say it's the juiciest ribeye I've ever had, and it comes very close to, tasting. You wouldn't know if I served it to you. You wouldn't know it didn't come off a grill.
Right.
We'll say that, but you're not going to get those flavors of like a cherry wood or anything like that.
Yeah.
And if you reverse sear your steaks, like say you smoke them for about an hour, like you got a good 2-inch ribeye or something, if you don't want to have to waste charcoal or the cast iron skillet, let's just be honest, use a cast iron skillet with fat and stuff in the house. The whole house, at least my house with short ceilings, is going to smell like bacon fat for however long. You can avoid that with the air fryer. So just a little heads up out there. But our conversation stemmed from, we were talking about the Raymond Farmers Market. And we want to welcome them to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show, guys. And my friend of mine, Eric, a Jackson fireman, went out there and ate supper Saturday night for steak night. And he was Snapchatting me, and he was saying, look, man, the bar set high. I'm comparing it to another steakhouse. I won't say their name here, but another steakhouse, kind of off the beaten path a little. He said, so it's got to be that good. I was like, man, I've never eaten there, but I've heard nothing but good things about this place. So the bar is set high. And by the end of his dinner, he's taking pictures with the owner, sharing it on social media, talking about it's the best steak he's ever had.
Right.
So, again, I appreciate Eric for going out there supporting the sponsor of the show.
Yeah.
And appreciate Holly and Will for coming on the show. And this Saturday night, guys, make reservations now. It fills up fast. They got everything from a filet to a 16-ounce ribeye to the 3-pound tomahawk. And that will feed 3 people.
Now, is there a menu online somewhere?
It is. And I will, let me see here. She texted to me last night. And they do lunch and dinner daily also. Let me see here. I tried to send the text to my printer at the house. But you can go to RaymondFarmersMarket.com. And the restaurant inside there is called the Hen House Diner.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you guys, they do to-goes. They got burgers. I mean, huge burgers. And all this meat they have a farm. It's all 100% grass-fed.
Oh, wow.
It's not finished with wheat. It is 100% grass-fed. Or not finished with, is it grain they finish with?
So is this one of those, like, farm-to-table type situations?
Sort of.
Okay.
But it's a family farm that's not necessarily associated with is my understanding. Look, I had a long conversation with them when we went out there and ate the other night.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. We covered a wide range of topics. They're listeners of the station and the show and stuff. So we talked about all kind of stuff. But one thing that did stick was, the Genuine Mississippi program that the Agriculture Commission has to determine if food is really from Mississippi
Sure.
and sourced locally. Well, that comes with a tag. And their stuff, all their fruits and vegetables with the farmers market and the meats and all are tagged Genuine Miss. So it's 100% locally sourced. Their catfish comes from Simmons Farms in Yazoo City, which apparently is the end-all, be-all for the best catfish around here. And I'm not a big catfish person. And Therese, that's maybe the best catfish I've ever had in my life.
Wow. That's good to know.
You'll never hear Clay say, I know people that will listen to the show are tired of me saying this, but you'll never hear Clay say, let's go get some catfish. I'm craving catfish. You're way more likely to get me, that's my Mexican food is what I would say. Let's go get some Mexican. Mm-hmm. I would drive back out to Raymond just for catfish, and I've never said that before in my life.
No, that's saying something.
So Friday night's your fish night. Saturday nights are steak nights. The closed menu, that's all they have is that and the sides and all. All their sides, their onion rings and fried pickles and all that, are 100% locally sourced, hand battered, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And,
this
and they do their own. They do their own beer batter. A lot of times you go somewhere and it's beer battered, it's frozen. Right. Not there. And because I've never been that big of a beer batter. It's as great as beer batter sounds. It never really translated into being that good to me.
No.
They've changed my mind.
All right, so I'm sold.
So look, y'all get out there, check them out, RaymondFarmersMarket.com, or go to their Facebook page. A lot of pictures of food there, just Raymond Farmers Market, and let them know that you heard it here on the Clay Edwards Show. All right, if you guys want to call in, 601-879-0002 is the Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line, and the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. And speaking of that, we did get some texts during our talk a second ago.
Oh, good.
So I'm not sure who sent these. I guess I should start saving people's names under their numbers so I know who it is. But then again, they might not want their name attached to some of these opinions.
Right.
It says transgender kids under teens are like vegan cats. You know who is really making the decisions? The parents.
Okay.
And it's called imposter syndrome. Jordan Peterson has a good video on that, and he does. I've actually seen that, the imposter syndrome stuff. It's like if I pretend to be this to get liked. And I think
I think we've all done that in some way or another in our lives, though, especially as kids.
I pretend to be smart and well-versed all the time.
I pretend not to be tired.
All right, so look, I enjoyed that first conversation there. That was good stuff. Let's I caught your most recent episode of Frontlines last night.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. You guys need to go check that out. It was all the follow-up to the incident. I don't know why we call it incident. To the guy that suicided himself there on I-20 that had the kids in his car back. What was the date on that?
April 25th.
April 25th. Yes, y'all remember that. That happened on a Monday. I remember because I was coming back from Talladega. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I hope traffic isn't still screwed up when we get home.
Screwed up for a while.
It was, but we it's a long enough trip from Talladega to Brandon that we missed it.
Good.
But look, I highly recommend y'all going to darkhorsepressnow.com, checking that out. Click the top of the website there. There's a big red box that says Watch Frontlines. Or go to our YouTube. Dark Horse Press. How is it listed on YouTube?
Just Dark Horse Press.
Just Dark Horse
and
Press.
Look for our logo.
Yeah, look for the logo and subscribe. She's sitting at about 800 subscribers there. Mm-hmm. And when you get to 1,000 and X amount of hours watched, your channel gets monetized, and y'all can help support Therese, even if it didn't directly financially. It will help unlock a world of possibility on YouTube. And then once you get into their quote-unquote partnership program, they start suggesting your videos. Mm-hmm. Because it benefits them to do so.
Absolutely.
So it'll help her out a lot. And, like I say, if you can't afford to support like a monthly donation, you can support through just hitting the dang subscribe, like, and share button.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to say something about that episode because, of course, you've got the shooting on I-20 as the first part, and the second and third blocks are both in this chase that we got into. The deputy I was with, we were on 49, and this car goes by, and it looks shady, and we end up chasing them down this gravel road. And that's another thing, too, because if you've ever been on a rural road in the South, there are going to be places where there's, like, embankments up both sides. just where they've carved the road in, and there's a little hill or something like that. And so there was a point where we're driving along, and we're pretty sure that if this car wants to stop in front of us and everybody wants to jump out with automatic weapons, we would be dead. So it was, I'd say this is one of my favorite episodes. We did have some audio issues with the first part, just because we couldn't interview the deputy because the case is still, in NBI's hands. But he spoke at a convention, and I was able to get video of that.
You just have to turn it up. That's what I had to do. Turn it up and listen.
Are terrible, but be sure and turn it up and listen.
Well, I thought what was really interesting was concerning the front side of it. There is you got the audio from the CB or the radio, and the scanner. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. You had the scanner audio, and you got to and the video, and so you got to watch a lot of this unfold and hear good, clear audio of the scanner call during the pursuit. And you just don't have access to. Well, I mean, I guess we all have access to it. I guess there's places to get it. But you put it together and made it all make sense, and I just thought you did a great job. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't know how Emmys and stuff are given out in this realm, but that was Emmy worthy.
Well, that audio from the conference would kill any chance of winning a contest with it, but otherwise, I was really pleased with how it came out. So,
well, you can always transcribe it. I mean, if people really want to, hear
that's
it,
true.
So. But I neither here nor there. You can if you want to hear it, you can turn it up loud and pay attention.
Sure.
And I thought it was really good. So
Thank you.
Good stuff there. So y'all check that out. Support Therese there,
please.
All right, Therese.
Yes.
What's up? We had Derek on the show yesterday, who calls in all the time. One of our favorite listeners and callers and participants in the show now, and we dove into the subject matter of the war on children in Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a war on children, waged at this point by children.
Yeah.
And but I believe bad political policy.
Absolutely.
Anti-police policy. And there's nobody that's a bigger fan of, like, what I always bring it up, Strong Arms Jackson and those guys do, trying to get in and be violence interrupters and help out, because I do believe that they save lives. Unfortunately, we need either that, we need that 100-fold, but we also need real deal more policing, and we need better judges. And what Faye Peterson did on this thing is disgusting. You let a convicted carjacker out on time served and probation, and then he doesn't show up to his first probation meeting. The Hinds County justice system is broken.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And it's one of the, I tell people all the time that it wasn't the water, it wasn't anything else. That was why I moved out of Jackson, was the fear of, if I have to defend myself in Jackson, I think I'm public enemy number one. Or if something happened to me in Jackson, would my killer or attacker even be punished?
Well, and the other thing you face the risk of is, and we've seen it happen in recent years, but, for me, there was a cute place not far outside of Terry where I could have actually had my horse there in my backyard. It was a little rental place and all that. But the reason that I didn't even go any further in looking into it is that I don't want to be in the Hinds County judicial system. So if somebody comes into my house and I have to take lethal action, then how do I know that I don't end up railroaded like so many people have been? I mean, we've still got cops that are waiting, on their trial from indictments that are just straight
crap.
And
they're actually cops in other districts now. They're whatever you want to call it. I guess we're talking about former Eric Fox.
Yeah.
I'll say his name. Eric Fox.
Anthony Fox.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Anthony Fox. Shout out to Eric Fox. Oh, yeah, Anthony Fox. That's just a witch hunt.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and the thing is, by this point, there's enough out there, and I say this objectively, there's enough out there that has proven that what they're trying to do, it's not kosher. There's just a lot about it that this is not a well bolstered case for the prosecution.
And I'll say this, like, I look at what they did to the fella there on McDowell Road Extension there at the was that the seafood place or whatever it was, the guy who the kid was breaking into his car and then
he shot him,
got into a fight with him, he shot him, and they charged him with murder.
Yeah.
Now it took
and
him.
they made it go away quietly later, but it was like
after it cost him everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. And, so I would look at that as, conservative white dude says it ain't safe for a white guy to defend himself in Jackson. But then you look at the stuff with Anthony Fox, a black Jackson policeman.
Yeah.
It is just, they are not going to allow law-abiding citizens or law enforcement to defend themselves in this city without consequence and repercussion.
Well, and the thing that bothers me is, and you guys know this drum that I beat all the time, but the fact is, in 2015, we had a situation where there was basically a gang setup where they called in a public disturbance at a gas station. When the cops pulled up, people from across the street in the parking lot were shooting at the cops. That was a part of at that time, some gang action was going on. I started writing about gangs. I started researching. I was going to different classes on gangs. I mean, across the board, the gang culture, even if you want to say, well, we don't have vice lords. Yeah, guess what? We do, or just different things like that. But so I start writing about it, and I'm getting all this pushback from the city and from a lot of their little minions. I mean, everybody knows there's certain other outlets that are pretty much just catering. But long story short, I'm getting constant heat. How dare I? I must be a racist. What we're seeing right now, everyone, Mayor Lumumba, everyone, this is the fallout of the culture that we allowed to grow by denying that it was here. Every time they said we don't have gangs, every time they said gangs are not a problem, even if you can't call this group of kids a specific gang name because you don't know it or because they haven't got one yet, it doesn't mean they're not living out the gang culture that we cultivated.
Yeah, me and Derek talked about that yesterday. I said, we don't have a blood and crip problem in Jackson, Mississippi. I said, we have a set problem. This neighborhood versus that neighborhood. And I said, I mentioned the time that I called you out on it. And it's like, you're lying. Mm-hmm. And then I had to come back and apologize because I was like, all I had to do is reference back to my past in the nightclubs to remember that that's absolutely what was going on. Yeah. But I guess I didn't want to accept it because it wasn't your traditional Bloods and Crips. And there's not 15-year-olds out doing this. I mean, Mr. Hate Jackson himself, I'm kidding, didn't think it could be that bad. Well, and once I peeled the onion back, I was like, what a shame.
And that's the danger of people thinking they understand what gangs are because they watched, Straight Outta Compton or something. Just because you listen to some Tupac songs doesn't mean that you know what the gang culture is anything about. And sadly, it's that way that we boil things down and we make them very sterile. No, we don't have, the Grape Street Crips or whatever, but we do have gangs here.
South Side Posse, that was all me back in the day. They don't even holler South Side, West Side no more. It's whatever street you're on. It could be four different gangs in one neighborhood.
Right.
We're going to take a break real quick. You listen to the Clay Edwards Show with Therese Apel. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. The segment's going to be brought to you by Miss Kimberly Harrelson over at Next Home Realty. Listing, selling, or buying a home, it's easier than you may think. In fact, it's just a click away when you work with Kimberly Harrelson at Next Home Realty. If you're looking to make a move to or from the Jackson area, Kimberly Harrelson is the agent you'll want. She knows how to negotiate the best price, buying or selling. Kimberly Harrelson will help you make the right decision with your home. Check out Kimberly's listings online at KimberlySalesMS.com or on Facebook. Just go type in Kimberly Next Home and it will pop up. And that's KIMBERLEE. And the Next Home office is right there on Old Fannin Road, right there in front of the bowling alley. So just stop in, say hey, tell them you heard it on the Clay Edwards Show. And all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So, Therese, kind of a short segment here.
Okay.
Because we got to make up for we ran over a couple.
Sure.
It's what we do when we're having good conversation.
Yeah.
What up? The Jackson crime. That's kind of where we picked up that.
Yeah.
And I think I would be gobsmacked if there wasn't a homicide this weekend.
And I haven't heard of one, but of course I was out of town. I just can't imagine that we had a quiet, long weekend.
A sunny, warm, long weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Brother, I know this city. Well, it was a couple of weeks ago we came out of the weekend, and they dropped 6 homicides on a Monday from the weekend. How did this all go unreported? And at this point, I'm questioning the homicide tracker on WLBT because it went from 54 to 55, but I can think of like 3 different homicides that have happened. Mm-hmm. Like, why were those not being counted? so on and so forth.
Well, and I think sometimes with the one on WLBT, it moves at the pace that it can be updated.
Yeah.
At least at one point, it was just CJ LeMaster working on it, and that guy has so much on his plate. So that may be why.
And I never questioned its authenticity because of CJ.
Yeah.
But I know that it's something he takes very passionately.
He does take it very seriously. Yeah.
Like you can DM CJ and find out what's going on. What about this one? Is it being counted? And he remembers, man. It's just like, I don't agree with a lot of his stuff politically, but when it comes to journalistically,
oh yeah, he's a great journalist.
He's on, and I like the guy. Yeah. He's just a nice guy. Been nice to me anyway.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
But the war on kids. What is there a quick fix to try to put a Band-Aid over a bullet wound while a longer term solution is put in place? Is it as simple as more law enforcement and a misdemeanor holding facility? Because I think those are the answers. I think more law enforcement and a misdemeanor holding facility to start being able to keep these kids in jail longer when they get arrested. Like, just to learn, hey, is this the life I want? Probably not. Because I remember growing up what a good weekend in juvenile hall would do for somebody.
Well, and I think the thing you have to look at is if you're going to have that kind of, detention center, whether it's short term or long term or whatever, what are they actually dealing with inside there? And on the one hand, yes, I'm all about it should be sterile, it should be clean, it should be humane, all that. But on the other hand, back when you were there, I believe it was probably a different environment because now we're in a society where, jailers aren't paid very well, where it's already just expected that if you become a jailer, then somebody on the inside is going to give you enough money to make it worth your while to look the other way when they do whatever. And that said, I'm not saying that all jailers are like that by any means, but it's kind of one of those dangers you run into. Yeah, it is the culture.
Well, I also knew that when I came out, I was actually safer in there than what I was going to be coming home to.
Right.
Because I had done screwed up. I'm like, can I stay just another night?
Just get my butt ready for the whooping I'm about to get.
Yeah, because like I say, my parents were great parents. I mean, they beat my butt all the time, and I can't imagine how bad I would have been had they not been as tough as they were and not beat my butt like they did. Mm-hmm. I was just damned and determined to be a screw up and hang with the older guys and let me show y'all how stupid I can be.
Right.
Trying to earn their respect. And it's no different than the conversation from our first segment. You wanted to be accepted, and I saw there's a part of me that understands what these youth are going through because they're looking up and they want the OGs to think that they're next in line, and they want their peers of the same age group and younger to look up to them and respect them.
Right.
But there's other ways to do it.
Well, and the thing is, even that respect issue is not so much on the table as it used to be, because what you see, and part of the reason that it's degraded to the point that it has, is that the OGs had a code. You definitely don't touch children or elderly people. You stay away from the women. You don't shoot at the cops or reporters. The beef is between the beefers, not the civilians surrounding or the law enforcement. I mean, there was a code once. Now, this generation of this culture, there is no respect for human life whatsoever, and there's no respect for the rules. And as they look at the OGs, they see you're done, man. You're past.
Step aside.
It's us now. Yeah.
Well, I wish they would do that with this older generation of civil rights leaders we have around Jackson, and I wish the Gen Xers would tell them, the boomer class running Jackson, that it's time to step aside and let the next generation come up because y'all have held on way too long. And, it's time to get some fresh thoughts in here. Somebody texted into the Guns and Gear text line and said, whoever believed that, let me see if I can dissect this. Whoever believes or has ideas to change Jackson needs to run for mayor. All those people who ran for mayor last time coming out of the woodwork, really, who are you? Whoever believes they can bring change to Jackson needs to start now. A lot of people should be running for mayor next time around. And I will say Chockway's younger, but he has terrible ideas.
Yeah, I think we've seen a definite decline under his administration.
Yep.
And, without getting political, it's just, you can see it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be political to say somebody's doing a terrible job.
Right.
You can see that this ain't working, Hoss. Mm-hmm. You're 5 years in at this point. This ain't working. All right, we're going to take a break real quick. Listen to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Come back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about a minute left before we have to take our top of the hour news break. We ran over on a couple segments because sometimes the conversation is just too good to stop it there. So,
well, and our off-air conversations are great too. We just want y'all to know we're also petty, but we can't explain. So. Petty AF, as the kids would say. Yep.
And if y'all could hear what was going on behind the scenes, it would make for phenomenal uncensored radio.
That's right. Your podcast would be through the roof.
Oh yeah, yeah. But as life goes, did you see something I wanted to hit? We can hit it later. But did you see where the Briarwood 1 building is abandoned? The big not skyscraper, but the huge office building that's shaped like a pyramid. Anyway, it shaped like a pyramid laying on its side.
Yeah,
it's abandoned and been taken over by vagrants and flooded. And people keep telling me that this kind of stuff happens everywhere, but I only see it in Jackson. And that's Briarwood ain't a terrible area, but it teeters on the edge. But an abandoned place like this, and I guess we ran the homeless people from under the bridges to there.
Yeah,
we'll discuss that and more on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show with Therese Apel.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.